There are only a couple of events each year in the off-campus student housing industry that brings all of the industry leaders together. The premier event for the industry is the Interface Student Housing Conference in Austin, Texas. For 2023, this event is being held April 3rd through 5th and will draw over 1,000 attendees and a complete who's who list of executives from the management, development, and investment firms under one roof at the JW Marriott in Austin for 3 days of sessions, roundtables, and networking. So who are some of the folks attending this year's Interface Conference? Well, let's meet one of them right now. Nick, I hear you're going to Austin.
Hey, Wes. Yes.
So is this, I'm trying to think, how many times have you been to the Interface Conference?
Oh gosh, this has to be third or fourth time in the last 5 or 6 years.
Now, this is, I guess, the first time as an operator. No, you probably went with CA Ventures, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I went with CA a number of times. This was my first time with UpCampus, which is a owner, operator, developer. So excited to get out there and see everybody again with the new group.
So for those that don't know you and don't know UpCampus, really quick, just give us kind of that 30 to 90 second elevator pitch about what you guys are doing.
A little bit about me. Like many of us in the industry, started as a leasing agent in college, Champaign, and actually was working on some projects that Tom Scott owned, CEO of CA Ventures. That led to an opportunity to work with CA and be basically employee number 12 back in the day. Fast forward 10 years, extremely fortunate to work across like 45 different markets across the US, Canada, and then concluding in Europe. So really cool opportunity to see like ground floor all the way up to a global enterprise. And so brings us to today. UpCampus reminds me a lot of joining CA when it was 15, 20 of us. We're at this stage now at UpCampus where we've got active projects in Minnesota, Florida, Arizona. We've got a big pipeline and a number of other ACC, Big Ten schools. And we're building this thing up from the ground floor. And it's in-house, owner, operator, developer.
Awesome. Well, and tell us a little bit about some of the other folks at Up, because you guys are not, it's not like you guys are this just up and coming. You guys started doing some projects this past year. All of you guys are serious names in the student housing industry. So if you would, give us a little bit of background on who else is involved.
Absolutely. Happy to. So Steve Buss, many of you may have heard his name. He's been active in student housing for a long time. I met him when I was in college. He was involved in ownership and developing assets. We've got Nishant Bakaya from CA. He was formerly chief investment officer. And then we have a number of really talented construction, investment folks, all who have student housing experience, come from names we'd all recognize. I've got two really talented folks on my operations team, Jackie Logsdon, Zach Westover. Right now, it's relatively small. And so we have this lean team that gets to really build everything from the ground up, take the best parts from our previous organizations, and then do it the way, we always wished and lobbied, our powers that be of like, hey, we should be doing it this way. So that's the team. And we're actively hiring at the corporate and site level for a number of these projects we're working on and managing.
Well, that's, one thing I kind of wanted to highlight about you guys, because a lot of our audience are site level managers. And, I think they probably haven't been in the industry long enough to maybe even recognize your name or Steve's name, but very successful names that, have been around Steve's been around for decades now. When did you get started on the management side? Age you a little bit here.
Yeah. So I was involved in student housing going back to like 2006, graduated in 2009, business degree, thought I'd be some hot shot consultant, investment banker. And then, the whole world was kind of crashing with the great financial crisis. And this awesome opportunity to be a leasing manager came up for CA Ventures, or what would become CA Ventures. Kind of got started in it that way and has been on the management side. And then, as CA ramped up to doing 5, 8 new developments a year, I kind of started to quarterback that team
Yeah.
and brought Jordan Manley on. She was highly instrumental in building the successful, like, year over year, 95% plus output that we were generating there. And then also with her leading the ship there, I was able to go abroad to Europe and help them start that operation. So yeah, I mean, and now at Up, we've got the same sort of ground team of Ryan Duty, formerly of CA. He's done just as many new developments as I have on the project management side.
Yeah.
He's leading things there. Yeah, I feel like we've really put together a team of veteran all-stars, but are super like lean and agile right now. So, what we've been telling the folks we've been talking to, like, who are you guys? Like, why should we work for you? It's like, listen, it's ground floor. And for me, the funnest part of my time with CA was that sort of transition from small to medium, because everybody had a ton of responsibility. We were all rowing in the same direction, like singular focus. And it's just a really fun day-to-day, work experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, veterans of our industry are certainly taking you guys seriously and know that, that's an all-star team. And so I would certainly, throw my weight behind, you guys when it comes to betting on you guys, obviously, but then also when it just comes to, speaking with, potential site level employees that you're going to be recruiting and people that, you're going to fill out that corporate management office with, like, these guys are for real. And I totally agree with you. If you want to be a part of something that's on the ground floor, that's going somewhere, is not some fly by night kind of thing, which, truthfully told, our industry has seen quite a bit of that too.
Sure.
That's not what this is. These are the guys that have really been behind some of the great brands, some of the great projects within student housing over the past couple of decades, and so excited to see what you guys are doing with that. Hey, I do want to come back to the European thing. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because CA said, hey, we want to go into Europe, and they put you on a plane and you didn't come back for another year. So tell us a little bit about what that experience was like. What are some of the main differences between how we do things here in the States with purpose-built student housing versus the way it happens there?
It's a great question. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, and I would wholeheartedly encourage anyone with the opportunity to go abroad, especially like with a work opportunity in hand, to just chase it. And it can feel risky and uncertain, but it's some of the most interesting experiences, perspective gained about just even looking back at home at the US from abroad is awesome. I got to hand it to my wife. When she heard this opportunity, she goes, "We're going. We're making this happen." So we loaded up our one kid and took us over. We had a second one while we were in London. It was incredible. But yeah, I really got to hand it to CA that they had the vision. We found an office, built a team of operations, development, construction management, went out, found really interesting sites. One of the main metrics we would look at markets is like basically how over or undersupplied is it? And in the US, you look at this ratio, and, markets are anywhere from 50, 60, 70% off-campus beds relative to the enrollment or people looking for housing. And you look at like the UK, which is the most developed market in Europe, and some of the busiest markets there were only 35%, give or take. And then you go one step further to say maybe Italy, Spain, some of the Irish markets, and they're like single digits provision rate. So everybody saw sort of the economic case for it. And then it got really interesting into like the product market fit conversation of, okay, we know we moved out of cafeterias in US purpose built, but everything we were hearing in Spain and Italy is no, students, especially those with the means, they want that still. They want that in-house opportunity to cook or have things cooked for them. In-unit washer dryer was like a pioneering thing CA and some of the newer developers are doing. Yeah, I could go on and on, but some of those were really interesting things to wrap your head around.
Yeah, yeah. I spent a week in London, looking at what they refer to as PBSA or purpose-built student accommodations, and yeah, there is a bit of the hostile kind of feel to it, right? And but then there's definitely an evolution happening with the product type. But the one thing that just stood out in my mind was how streamlined the leasing process and operations. And when I say streamlined, I really mean centralized, where they didn't rely on. And of course, most of the projects in London from a PBSA standpoint are all 250, 350 beds.
Yeah.
You're not going to see anything over 400 beds in London. And so, because of that, they operated much more like scattered sites, and you didn't see, you didn't have this expansive on-site team that were, handling everything from maintenance to planning parties and all that. The most you may see is like a den mother type figure that was on site, and that was about it. And it's kind of funny. I came back from that experience saying, "Look, centralized leasing is where we can pick up our efficiencies from." And everybody looked at me like I had three heads, and they're like, "No, we have to roll out the red carpet for these students." And it took one pandemic to now get everybody on the centralized leasing and centralized services bandwagon. So
no, I agree. I think we'll see more of that case by case in the US because of technology, like you mentioned, the pandemic shifting touch, no touch. But to your point, like in the UK and the closer you get to London, the smaller the asset sizes are, you can't justify having as much staff on site. And the folks leasing from out of a different country coming in, it was all done online.
Yeah.
We had that healthy debate. It's part of CA of like, should we do temporary leasing offices in the year one lease up? And there was very compelling reasons both ways. They ultimately did go with it. They did open up storefronts before each one.
Gotcha.
But one of the groups I would encourage people to look at if they just want to gain an understanding of some of the leaders over there is a group called VITA, VITA. They've done some of the most interesting high-end developments over there. And when you got to cities like Manchester, Sheffield, where asset sizes got larger, 400 or 500 beds, then you started to see more on-site staff similar to what we do here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's case by case.
Yeah. Well, hey, I love talking about Europe with you, but let's talk a little bit more about Austin.
Sure.
As you mentioned, this is your fourth or fifth time. I consider you a veteran if you've been more than three times. So, for our audience, this may be their first time going. Maybe they're on the operations side. They've just moved into a VP position or something, and this is going to be their first time going. What are some of the things you really like about the conference and things that you would kind of suggest to them? Hey, make sure, you're doing this, you're, soaking up this kind of session or whatever. What kind of suggestions would you have for them?
So I think Rich and his team, they do a great job of organizing the sessions, and anything that looks interesting, go with a notebook, take some notes, go talk to the people afterwards, shake their hand, give them your business card, especially if you're regional and you're still connected to the site where you know what actually needs to happen. You know what tools you wish you had, or people that you think might help your efforts there. Like, yeah, go introduce yourself. Because I found vendors who put a face to a name are more likely to like work with you and tailor their product to what you need than if you're just like a cold call. I'd recommend spending time in the lobby. Like you're gonna see, oh, there's my old boss. Or someone I wish I had, like Alex O'Brien's walking by, Beth Pinder's walking by, and everybody's cool. You're in Austin. Everybody's willing to say, hey, chat it up a little bit and then go on their way. So put yourself out there.
I think that's great advice. And you're going to be on a panel, I believe, on Monday, correct?
Yeah, first one, I believe. The U-Forest New Development Annual Report. Those guys were gracious to ask me to be involved because we've been using U-Forest and really like their stuff and their process. So yeah, I'll be one of the 4 or 5 contributors to that panel.
Yeah, U-Forest. We had David Lee on this series as well, and I can't sing their praises enough on not just the quality of the product that they put out, but as you said, the process is so helpful for a developer as well.
Worked with them at CA, worked with them now at Up, and they really do a good job of going, hey, you have 85% of the vision in your head exact. We can help you fill in that other 15% of an amenity space or little creative liberties they can take to actually hit print. And that's so helpful to keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, outside of the conference, what other things in Austin would you suggest, especially if someone who's never been to Austin, what are some things they've got to check the box on before they leave?
Yeah, if you've never been, the reputation precedes itself of like great Mexican food. You can't go wrong really in any regard there. If you're from a cold hometown like I am, just walking the streets, drinking and catching live music, again, you'll love every minute of it. As a real estate person who's interested, you could even go book a quick tour through one of the new either multi or student buildings.
Yeah.
Like LV Collective has put up some really beautiful stuff. Landmark, like go do a property tour if you've got a few minutes and kind of see what the latest and greatest is in Austin.
No, that's a great suggestion. I think it's probably been 5-6 years ago. It was definitely before the pandemic, probably when they were still doing the golf outing on the first day. But yeah, they used to actually have a property tour that they would do. And, with it being in Austin for so many years straight, how many properties can you actually tour? Well, the truth is there's actually quite a few. We could probably go for another 15 years and we wouldn't have to, revisit the same one twice. But anyway, well, yeah, thanks for sharing that information. And for folks that want to, get a hold of you either to talk about what's going on with Up or maybe just they want to ask you a little bit more about your experience in Europe or, some of the other things you've done in your student housing career. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah. LinkedIn, you can find me, Nick Hill. Also, my email is nhill@upcampusproperties.com. Reach out, happy to chat. We're always hiring and interested in talking to folks. One of the unique ways we're looking to build a team is in these new developments. We're looking at, do we hire traditional GMs and LMMs? Maybe, sure, if that's who we find. But we're also interested in kind of developing the new development specialist role of hey, this is gonna be my assignment, and then I'm gonna crush it and move on and work on another assignment and then maybe scale up to multiple. So we're interested in people who want to find a new home or travel around, see markets. We see success stories in both applications.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see you there, Nick. It's been a while. And actually, have you and I ever met face to face? I don't know that we have.
We've crossed paths briefly, more of this lately, but yeah, I'm excited to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, travel safe, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And we'll make sure to put all of your email and LinkedIn stuff in the show notes.
Perfect. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Nick.